The Galactic Federation's species registry wasn't kind to humans. A measly 3 out of 16 on the aggression index, barely a step above the gelatinous, conflict-averse Pelori. The Terran Concord had earned that rating through centuries of apparent cowardice. No wars among themselves since their pre-FTL days, a unified planetary government that oozed cooperation, and a first contact response that was practically a welcome party. They joined the Federation as model citizens, resolving every squabble with a handshake and a smile. Take the Xykra incident. The insectoid Xykra, a species with an aggression index of 11, seized a Terran agri-world, claiming it as a brood nest. The Federation expected a skirmish. Humans had a legal claim, after all. Instead, the Terrans negotiated a deal. They'd abandon the planet for a modest tribute of Xykra silk. Within a decade, half the Xykra economy ran on Terran trade credits. No shots fired, no blood spilled. Then there was the Vornesh affair. The reptilian Vornesh, twitchy and paranoid, aggression index 9, impounded a Terran freighter on suspicion of espionage. The crew was detained, tortured even, according to rumors. The Federation braced for retaliation. None came. The humans sent diplomats, offered a tech exchange, rudimentary fusion drives for the prisoners' release, and walked away with a new Vornesh ambassador singing their praises. Opinions split down the middle. The optimists called humans enlightened, a beacon of peace in a galaxy of fangs and claws. The cynics, like me, saw spinelessness. I'm Admiral Tekes of the Clythari, aggression index 14, and I've clawed my way through 3 wars. To me, the Terrans were prey masquerading as peers, too weak to fight, too clever to admit it. That belief held until the Shroud descended. We didn't know much about the Shroud. A fleet of angular, light-absorbing ships, they appeared at the galaxy's edge and began dismantling planets. Not for resources, not for conquest. They unmade worlds into clouds of dust and gas, then vanished. Theories abounded. A rogue AI swarm, a religious purge, a cosmic art project. Whatever they were, they shrugged off our best weapons like a storm ignores a pebble. The Federation's heavy hitters, the Clythari, the Zerathians, and the Drax, aggression indices 14, 13, and 15, formed a battle line at the Turnak system. Our fleet was a marvel. Plasma lances, gravitic mines, ships bristling with enough firepower to crack a moon. We hit the Shroud head-on. It was a massacre. Their hulls drank our energy barrages, and their counterattacks, beams of entropic decay, turned our dreadnoughts to ash. I lost half my flotilla in the first hour. By the second, I sounded the retreat. We limped away, broadcasting a desperate plea for aid. The Zerathians and Drax echoed it. Silence answered. The galaxy's lesser militaries, cowed by our failure, chose to hunker down or run. Then, a ping. 5 Terran ships dropped out of FTL, sleek and unassuming, barely registering as a threat. I snorted through my mandibles. The galactic doormats had shown up with a token force. 5 ships against a foe that had shredded hundreds. Pathetic. "Admiral, the Terrans are hailing," my comms officer chirped. "Put them through," I growled. "Let's hear their excuses." A human appeared on screen, pale, wiry, with sharp eyes and a crooked grin. "Admiral Kess, I'm Captain Lena Voss of the Terran Concord. We're here to help." I clicked my claws, incredulous. "Help? With 5 ships? Join our retreat, Captain. The Shroud's already won this round." Voss tilted her head, puzzled. "Retreat? No, we're here to stop them." I stared. "Stop them? With what? Your fleet's a rounding error. The Shroud just crushed us. Hundreds of ships, best tech in the Federation. You're a peaceful species. You don't even fight." She laughed, a low, unsettling sound. "Peaceful? Oh, that's rich. You think we avoid war because we're scared?" "Your record speaks for itself," I snapped. "Lowest aggression index in the Federation. You talk your way out of everything." Voss's grin widened, showing teeth. "Not out of fear, Admiral, out of prudence. We don't fight because we don't trust ourselves to stop." I blinked my secondary eyes. "What's that supposed to mean? Ever wonder why we unified so fast? Why we don't squabble like the rest of you?" She leaned closer to the screen. "It's not because we're saints. It's because we learned what happens when we let loose. We've got a leash on ourselves, because if we don't, nothing survives." Her words hung there, heavy and absurd. I opened my mouth to argue, but she cut me off. "Watch this," she nodded to someone off-screen. "Deploy the Echo." A single projectile launched from her flagship, a small silvery orb unremarkable. It drifted toward the Shroud fleet, now regrouping to pursue us. I braced for a fizzle, some laughable human gimmick. The orb pulsed once, then the universe screamed. A wave of distortion rippled out, not fire, not light, but a fracture in reality. Space warped, folded, and tore. Shroud ships didn't explode, they unraveled. Hulls peeled apart into threads of matter, then nothingness. The wave spread, swallowing dozens, then hundreds of vessels. My sensors shrieked overload warnings. My crew flinched as static clawed at our hull 1,000 kilometers away. In 10 seconds, the Shroud fleet, 1,000 strong, was gone. Not debris, not dust, gone. A void stared back at us, colder than the black between stars. What was that?" I rasped. Voss shrugged, casual as if she'd swatted a fly. "We call it the Echo. Old tech, pre-FTL. Designed it to end our last war. Worked a little too well. Took out half a continent and kept going until we shut it down. Barely. This one's dialed back, localized, probably." "Probably," my voice cracked. "You don't know." "There's a margin of error," she admitted, still grinning. "Simulations say it stops 99% of the time. Good enough for today." Horror sank into my chitin. This wasn't bravery or brilliance. This was madness. A species so reckless they'd gamble the galaxy on a weapon they didn't fully control, and they'd kept it hidden, playing weak until now. "Why?" I demanded. "Why pretend to be cowards?" Voss's grin faded, her eyes hardening. "Because we're not pretending. We are cowards, Admiral. We're terrified of ourselves. Every time we fight, we risk becoming something worse than the Shroud. So we talk, we trade, we smile. But when push comes to shove," she gestured at the empty void, "this is who we are." The transmission cut. The Terran ships vanished into FTL, leaving us adrift in the silence. My crew muttered prayers to forgotten gods. I stared at the blank screen, replaying her words. The aggression index was a lie, not because humans lacked violence, but because they'd mastered it so completely they feared its release. The twist wasn't their strength, it was their restraint, and the chilling truth that it might not hold forever. The Federation needed to know. But as I drafted my report, a darker thought gnawed at me. If the humans ever stopped being afraid, the Shroud would be the least of our problems.